Hey everybody, it's Alex here from GameWatcher. I'm here to talk a little about Nobunaga's Ambition, which is a bit of an interesting one because it's a strategy game, which we all love on this site, but it's coming out of Japan. So I'm here at the Tecmo Koei booth with Mr. I didn't catch your name, man. Mr. Mark Carstens, yes, and Mr. Ogasawara. Yeah. I get there in the end. Yeah. So we're going to chat a little bit about Nobunaga's Ambition, and you're obviously going to help us out here because I am terrible with any Japanese of any description. So, first question, obviously you're bringing this to PC in the West, which is a pretty big deal, just as with regards to, this is typically a console series, 13 entries on consoles and all that, and you're bringing it to PC in the West, which is a very big competition in the strategy market. So what made you decide to do that, and you know, how do you feel about it now you've done it?
So about the PC question, the thing is that this series was always developed on PC first and then adapted to console later. So we have, I mean, this is the 14th part of a series in Japan, and we have like 13 games experience in building a strategy game on PC. And of course, we have strategy game players are basically more PC based, also in Japan. So it wasn't really a question of bringing it out as PC. The thing is, this is a 30th anniversary game. We put everything in it that we know, all the experience of 30 years and 13 games of strategy games. As I told you before, we put a lot of effort to make this game attractive to new players that we haven't attracted yet, or people who played the series before but didn't continue to play it. So there's a lot of tutorials, there are a lot of guidelines, there are a lot of story-based quests and campaigns that people can enjoy without deeper knowledge of the system. And this qualified this game to bring it to a new audience that can enjoy the strategic part even not knowing the history of Japan. And that was why we decided to bring it to the Western territories as well.
Awesome. So, in line with that, you know, bringing this to the West, what is it about? I mean, obviously you've done a lot of these games, so that's part of why, but what is it about this period of time and this cast of characters, this cast of historical figures, that makes you feel it's a good and a really suitable place for a strategy game?
So the first thing is this Sengoku area is an area very popular in Japan. So in the last 400 years after the area died, a lot of Japanese enthusiasts, scientists made research on this area. It is very well documented, and it's also in the popular culture. I mean, there are a lot of movies about it, there are comics, animes about it, there are TV shows about it, and they're all very detailed and very giving back the history very detailed, because there's a lot of knowledge, and that was, of course, for the Japanese market, was a straight one reason why we picked this area for a strategy game, because it's just so popular. So the second reason is that this part of the Japanese history, because of it was like 150 years of war, and as said, is war leads to innovation. So there are new ways of warfare, but also new ways of building, new ways of growing, new ways of politics that were innovated in this area, and this fast-paced innovation was a nice setting for a strategy game, because it's not boring, you know, it's always dramatic, and as the player has to improve, the time itself improves, the world improves, so it's a really nice setting for a strategy game.
And this is a similar question to what I would ask a lot of the Koei teams, which is, how much do you balance between making these characters interesting and exciting and all that sort of stuff, and keeping true to their historical selves? How much do you like to embellish when you're designing characters, whether that be the look or their personalities that are depicted or anything like that?
This is also something that's been grown in the last 14 games, of course. So basically we are really trying to stick to the past, you know, so we rely on resources of also how the character of certain warlords were, how they looked like, how their appearance was, how their strategies and fighting skills were. But of course, after certain games you have a certain core user base, and you have a feedback from the core user base of what they find realistic or what they find interesting. So you kind of adapt to that and give them what they want and give them what they regard to be true. That's one. The second thing is, of course, in Japan you have a lot of movies, animes, dramas about certain warlords. And every time a big movie, a hit movie comes out about a certain warlord, it changes the public perception of him. So he has a certain image that he didn't have before, maybe. And this is also something that we have to adapt to. So between two series, a certain warlord has an image change in the public opinion, we would adapt to that. Also, we adapt to new historical knowledge. So if something new historically is found out, we try to put it in as well to be as close to the history. But you always have a certain touch of what our users want and what our users find right, or the public opinion that we just include, because we want the Japanese people to experience the history as they think it was.
And this is obviously a unique area compared to most. There's one or two Western strategy games. So for a Western strategy gamer who is a fan and likes reading about them and all that sort of stuff, what would you say is the selling point of this era and therefore this game versus the medieval Dark Ages era of the West or anything like that?
So basically, I think a big difference between this game and European strategy games is that you have these three pillars of creating, politics and warfare, and you have to balance them all and master them all to finally manage the game. So it's a different approach than the European games, which are more based on creation and warfare. That is one, but I think the main sales point is, of course, Japanese publishers started in a globalized world to build games that both suits the Japanese market and the Western market. But this one was growing 30 years in a Japanese market for Japanese. So it's really, you can say it's a part of Japanese culture. It's not corrupted by Western ways of doing things. So the approach would be, I mean, it's really a different way of strategy game playing. It's a completely different scenario that most people don't know about. I think it might actually feel like a fantasy scenario for some Western gamers. But I think the selling point is that they get the chance of enjoying the Japanese way of playing a strategy game and a Japanese scenario, which might be really new and something new and refreshing for them. Something they haven't experienced before.
And real history.
And real Japanese history, of course, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I can't think of a more perfect note to end on, because that encapsulates the game. So thank you so much. Thank you for the translation, sir. Thank you so much. You'll have more news on this as it nears release here on GameWatcher. See you next time, guys.